I want to know, not believe, not suppose. I want to know. This is not just a line from a film. It is the cry of the human condition itself. It is the archetypal voice of a knight in a famous philosophical parable, playing a game of chess with death. But in reality, it is all of us, playing our own game against the silence. We are creatures who search desperately for meaning, for guarantees, for a why that justifies our existence. And the universe, for the most part, remains silent. This tension, this agonizing gap between our profound human desire for order and a cosmos that seems utterly indifferent. This is the central crisis of modern life. The philosopher Albert Camus gave it a name: the absurd. The absurd is not the simple statement that life is meaningless. That's nihilism. The absurd, as Camus defined it in his essay, The Myth of Sisyphus, is the divorce, the permanent conflict between our nostalgia for unity, our deep-seated need for a rational purpose, and the irrational silence of the world. We shout our questions into the void, and the only answer is the echo of our own voice. So what do we do? When we are confronted by this silence, what is the proper human response? We are told to find the answer. But what if the solution isn't to find a grand, universal answer, but something else entirely? What if the solution is to create our own? The first thing we must challenge is the very nature of our search. We are raised to believe in a grand meaning with a capital M. We are taught to look for a cosmic script, a pre-written destiny, a path laid out for us by God, or by fate, or by the universe itself. This is perhaps our greatest comfort and our greatest assumption. The absurd is the experience of realizing there might be no such script. It is the friction we feel every single day. We feel this tension in the dull ache of a stagnant job, when we stare at the ceiling at night and think, this cannot be all there is. We feel it in the paralysis that grips us before a major life decision, as we wait desperately for a sign, a guarantee from the cosmos that we are choosing the right path. We are, in essence, like actors pushed onto a stage. The curtain has already risen, the spotlight is on us, and we are standing center stage, waiting for the director to hand us our lines, to tell us the plot. The radical proposal from philosophers like Camus is this: we must accept that we are on the stage, but the script is never coming. And instead of freezing in the spotlight, waiting for a purpose to be given to us, we must find the courage to improvise. We must write our own lines, one by one, with every action we take. When this realization hits, when the grand meaning we were promised collapses, or when the silence of the universe becomes too loud to ignore, the human mind scrambles for safety. It flees into two great traps, two false solutions to the problem of the absurd. The first is the trap of dogma. This is the flight to certainty. It is the desperate lunge for any system, any ideology, any rigid belief structure that promises the answer. It might be a fundamentalist religion, a rigid political ideology, or any philosophy that claims to have solved the riddle of existence. This looks like what the philosopher Søren Kierkegaard called the leap of faith, but it is a twisted inversion of it. For Kierkegaard, the leap was a terrifying, radical embrace of paradox, a personal commitment made in spite of reason. The trap of dogma is the opposite. It is a leap away from freedom. It is using faith as a blindfold, a way to escape the terror of the void and the responsibility of thinking for ourselves. The second is the trap of despair. This is the opposite conclusion, but it is equally paralyzing. This is nihilism. This is the decision that if there is no one universal, eternal meaning, then no meaning is possible at all. It is an all or nothing fallacy. If the cosmos doesn't care, why should I? Both of these traps are born from the same parent, fear. The fear of uncertainty, the fear of being wrong, and most of all, the terrifying, vertiginous fear of absolute freedom. Let's return to that archetype, the knight playing chess with death, the character Antonius Block from Ingmar Bergman's film, The Seventh Seal. He is the perfect embodiment of this second trap, intellectual despair. He is a man who must know. His entire identity is invested in solving the riddle. He doesn't just play chess with death. He interrogates him. He wants the answer. He wants the guarantee that his life, his crusade, his suffering, meant something beyond the grave. The tragedy of the knight is not that he is going to die. We all are. The tragedy is that he is so completely obsessed with deciphering what happens after the game that he has forgotten how to play. The silence of God, the absence of an answer, becomes a mirror for his own inner void. He becomes his own obsession. This is the ultimate danger of fixating on the absurd. First, we lose the present. The search for an eternal meaning blinds us to the immediate one. We are so busy looking at the horizon that we trip over the beauty at our feet. Second, we fall into cynicism. If, in the end, none of it will matter, then love, joy, and beauty seem trivial, naive, and foolish. And third, we suffer a paralysis of the will. If nothing has a grand purpose, why act? Why build? Why love? We stop being actors in our own drama and become passive, bitter spectators, waiting for the inevitable checkmate. The knight was forced to confront the absurd by the plague, by the physical presence of death. But we, in our daily lives, have a choice. We can confront the absurd voluntarily, not as a death sentence, but as a fundamental question of how to live. This is where the great pivot happens. What if the silence of the universe is not a curse, but a blank canvas? What if the absence of an imposed, grand meaning is, in fact, the greatest freedom of all? The freedom to create our own. The response to the absurd, Camus tells us, is not acceptance. It is revolt. This is not a political revolt with guns, or a childish revolt with clenched fists against the sky. It is a revolt of the consciousness. It is the act of looking the absurd square in the face, acknowledging the chaos, the lack of ultimate purpose, the certainty of death, and refusing to surrender. It is a stubborn, passionate yes to life, in spite of its conditions. In the same parable that gives us the tormented knight, there is a hidden answer. It is not in the castle, or the church, or the philosopher's debate. It is a small family of itinerant performers, Joff and Mia, traveling with their young son. They are not playing chess with death. They are not asking God to explain the plague. In one iconic scene, they are sitting in the sunlight on a beautiful afternoon, sharing a simple bowl of wild strawberries and milk. They are completely, beautifully present. They are astonished by the now. They find a meaning that is profound, sufficient, and absolutely real in the simple act of sharing that moment, of caring for their child, of appreciating the sunlight. This is the true revolt. They did not find meaning. They created it. They built a small, warm fire of human significance in the middle of a cold, indifferent universe. This, of course, is the hardest path. It demands that we abandon our childish need for eternal answers and cosmic guarantees. It demands that we accept the full, adult responsibility for the meaning of our own day. The challenge, then, is this. We must stop looking to the heavens for a script. We must look instead at the blank page of the day in front of us. We must stop asking the universe, "What is the meaning of life?" and start answering for ourselves, "What meaning will I give to this day?" The absurd is not a wall that stops us from living. It is the very floor on which we must dance. The knight's life was spent seeking an answer from death. The artist's life was spent living in defiance of death. They lived with passion, they lived with freedom, and they lived in revolt. True philosophical courage is not found in discovering a complex answer to the suffering of the world. It is found in accepting the journey without knowing the destination. It is found in creating profound, personal, and untransferable meaning in the flavor of your food, in the quality of your work, in the depth of a human connection, in the simple act of witnessing a sunrise. The solution to the great existential question is not a complex theory. It is a practical, daily act. Stop waiting for the grand meaning. Have the courage to build your little meanings. Do not wait for your cue. The play has already begun.